Overtraining is common in athletes and has both physiological and psychological consequences. Referred to as staleness, overreaching, and chronic fatigue, overtraining is the point where an athlete exceeds their capacity to exercise. The mental drain and physical injury that can result from overtraining have negative consequences on an athlete's performance, and therefore preventing and treating overtraining are significant to sport and exercise psychology. Progressive increases in training intensity are necessary for improvements for endurance events. Athletes who train this way are looking to have positive adaptations to training overload in order to improve their performance. Whilst athletes usually recover in 12 to 24 hours, repeated high-intensity training may be too demanding of an athlete's ability to adapt. Overtraining can therefore be understood as this inability to adapt, which results in performance loss instead of improvement. Overtraining has many physiological impacts. The most significant of these is an overactive pituitary gland. Hypothalamus overstimulation leads the pituitary glands to release excess adrenocorticotropic hormone. This in turn leads to excess cortisol secretion by the adrenal cortex, cortisol being used by the body to help deal with stress. Studies have shown that cortisol levels were much higher in athletes who had overtrained than in the same athletes after 4 weeks of rest. The reproductive system is affected by overtraining by lowering in luteinizing hormone levels. In females, this is associated with body fat reduction and lowering of estrogen levels, and can sometimes result in amenorrhea, an abnormal absence of menstruation. In males, lowering luteinizing hormone levels lead to lower amounts of testosterone and therefore a reduced capacity to build muscle mass. The cardiovascular system is also affected by overtraining, with overtrained athletes having higher heart rates, as well as it taking them a longer time to reach a resting heart rate after exercise. As it can be seen, the physiological effects of overtraining are wide-spanning. As well as the aforementioned effects, overtraining can also have potential negative impacts on the musculoskeletal system as well as system immunity. Psychological impacts of overtraining are usually characterized by sleep disturbances, prolonged excessive weariness, chronic fatigue, and loss of vigor. Overtraining may also result in emotional and motivational imbalance, anger, hostility, mood swings, eating disorders, and loss of appetite. There are 5 main symptoms that suggest that an athlete is overtraining. 1. An increase in resting heart rate. 2. Unexplained weight loss. 3. Prolonged excessive thirst. 4. Sleep disturbances. And 5. Psychological malaise. A periodic review of an athlete's fluid and dietary intake, sleep, the amount they're getting and the quality of it, as well as their resting heart rate, and a journal which journals their general outlook or well-being, will identify overtraining in most cases. Physical symptoms should be treated first, and should involve either a reduction or complete cease in training. This, however, doesn't mean that an athlete can't keep up their fitness via general maintenance training methods. Psychological problems are much harder to deal with. According to sports psychologist K.P. Henchinen, the most effective way to deal with psychological impacts of overtraining is via changing up the way an athlete does their workout or training regime. In his 1990 paper, Prevention and Treatment of Athletic Staleness and Burnout, K.P. Henchinen suggests that alterations in training regimes should be made in order to reduce overtraining. Some of his suggestions include timeouts from training, giving the athlete more say over their training regime, organizing mental practice sessions to replace physical ones, and figuring out a way to deal with post-competition tension. A sports psychologist or trainer can help prevent overtraining by educating coaches and by being aware of the signs and symptoms in athletes. This will help athletes to be healthy, both physiologically and psychologically, and help them perform at their very best. Thank you.